For a record extending 15th time, Real Madrid were crowned champions of Europe. And if there's one team out there on this planet that can really claim to be the kings of Europe, it is the team that you see right behind me, Real Madrid, 15-time champions. There's nobody coming close to that kind of legacy, that kind of numbers in the Champions League. And Real Madrid once again produced a special night in Europe as they went ahead and beat Borussia Dortmund at the Wembley Stadium in London. Let's just look back at what could have been and just try and see what happened last night in London, because there is so much to talk about. And if you're a Dortmund, you must be wondering, could the result have been different? Perhaps yes, but was it just down to luck as far as Real Madrid are concerned? Maybe no. Was there some luck that Real Madrid were riding? Yes, but was this victory just down to luck? No. If it's a team that's done it time and time again, let's go back and talk about the time that you had a 93rd minute equalizer when they were playing against Atletico, or the time that they played against Liverpool as well. So for a team that's done in time and time again over these years, especially in the Champions League, it's not just down to luck, and that tells you about the psychology, the mentality of Real Madrid. 4 of their players, by the way, have now won the Champions League 6 times. There are clubs out there in Europe, in elite European leagues that have cumulatively not won 6 Champions League titles. There are 4 players, by the way, in this Real Madrid lineup that have now won it 6 times and 15 times overall as far as Real Madrid are concerned. But what is it that Dortmund could have done different yesterday? Were they very, very close or not? Well, if you didn't see the match, I can tell you they were knocking the door, and they knocked the door down multiple times. Just that they failed to bring that door down, but they were knocking on it multiple times. And there's one thing that good teams do, that is punish you if you don't take your chances. Real Madrid did exactly that yesterday. For all the chances that Dortmund had in the first half, especially coming from the left hand side of the field, where you had the likes of Karim playing on the left, that's where you thought that bulk of those chances were coming, and finally there'd be that one chance that they would convert. You saw the ball hit the net, hit the post. You saw you saw the left winger try to do an extra couple of things where he tried to go around the keeper as well. There were some chances, serious chances out there that Dortmund should have taken in the first half, and perhaps then maybe the result could also have been different, or at least the way that the game panned out could have been different, but that wasn't to be, and that's what Real Madrid cashed in on. For the first 60 minutes, you knew that they had in fact Real Madrid on the ropes, because to match Real Madrid toe-to-toe in terms of possession, also for the longest time you saw an even split as far as possession is also concerned. So very disciplined Dortmund were, especially in those first 45-50 minutes. But speaking of Real Madrid, they did just enough to hang in there. You saw the ball once hit the crossbar as well in the second half. All those chances being missed in the first half by Dortmund. So Real Madrid were on the ropes for quite some time, and they were very, very scratchy. They didn't have things together. The midfield had become extremely porous. Real Madrid were losing all the battles in the midfield. Bellingham didn't have a good night, but even then Real Madrid did what Real Madrid do, which is find a way out. In Dani Carvajal, they found their first goal, after which the pressure was on Dortmund, and it was interesting to see. That's what another side or another facet of Real Madrid you saw yesterday night, that once they had that first goal in, they just shifted gears seamlessly, and the opposition was under the pump after that. After that first goal was knocked in, you saw a different Real Madrid, a Real Madrid that was completely in control. Yes, there was one more chance after that. In fact, the ball did end up going into the back of their net, but that was not to be a goal because it was adjudged offside. But besides that, the way that the transition happened for Real Madrid, and one attack became two became three, that is what you saw. It pretty much became one-way traffic after that first goal, and Real Madrid So after that one goal really came into their own, and they knew that they didn't have that perfect game. They were riding their luck to quite an extent, but they knew that since they had survived the worst part, since they had survived all the difficult phases of that game, once that goal was in, they knew it was going to be their night once again in Wembley, and that's exactly at the Wembley, and that's exactly how it turned out to be for Real Madrid, as they got home a 15th Champions League title. But that's what happens, and you don't really Dortmund, because they aren't the first side to fail against Real Madrid. There's only in fact a few teams that have done well against them in the history of the competition, and beating Real Madrid when it comes to especially this stage of the tournament, we know how difficult it can be. As I said, you saw what happened against in that match against Liverpool a few years back, then the famous match against Atletico as well. So you've seen enough evidence over the years that once Real Madrid get into this stage of the tournament, especially the final, they're a difficult team to knock off the perch. That's how much they like this competition. That's how obsessive they are when it comes to the Champions League. And for Nacho to be lifting the Champions League for the 15th time in the club's history, that just tells you how far ahead this club is as in comparison to some of the other clubs in European football. Leaps and bounds ahead. In fact, there's no comparison to Real Madrid at the moment, and the legacy of Real Madrid has only grown. The legacy of a Carlo Ancelotti has also grown. Very contrasting, by the way, the two legends of the game, the kind of farewells that they got for Marco Reus it wasn't to be the dream farewell. But for Toni Kroos, by the way, who went off the field, and in came a certain Luka Modric. You should have seen how much it meant to him. Real were just about there in terms of the final whistle, and you could see in the celebration. Don't get to see it much often from somebody like Toni Kroos. Remember, a World Cup winner as well. But for him to be reacting with all that passion yesterday showed you how much it meant for him to finish on a high, and that's what he said on social media as well after this historic night that we witnessed in London yesterday. So that was how it turned out to be as far as the final of the Champions League 2024 edition is concerned. Real Madrid extending their record in Europe's elite league by taking it to 15 titles. Dortmund, well, their wait for a Champions League title in this century continues.